This episode is proudly brought to you by Drinking Buddy products. If you or someone you know has limited dexterity and struggles to hold a drink, the Drinking Buddy glove is perfect for you. A neoprene glove with a stubby holder attached to the palm, it holds the drink for you, so you can sit back and relax and enjoy your drink. Head to the Instagram page at _drinkingbuddy_ or the Facebook page at Drinking Buddy, and head to the link on the page to get yours now. Okay, you ready? Let's do it. You're listening to Chats from a Chair, with me, Nick Dempsey, coming to you from my wheelchair. I speak with people who have a great story to tell, portraying the human potential, often in the face of adversity. Check out the Instagram page at chatsfromachair_podcast and let me know who you think I should have on and have a chat with. Also, don't forget to hit follow on whatever platform you're listening to this. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode. Coming up in this episode, I speak with Michelle Massey, who is the owner of a disability travel agency and has helped a lot of people with lots of different types of disabilities, both physical and, I guess, mental, or what she often refers to as invisible disability, and help them go on lots of different holidays. So we explore the different things you have to look for and some of the different hurdles that she's overcome, some of the things that she's helped people with that they thought really wasn't possible, and then also some of the innovation coming to the travel industry for people with disabilities. So stay tuned for all of that and more. G'day and welcome back to another episode of Chats from a Chair. Today I have with me Michelle. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Now you own a disability travel company, that's right?
Correct. Yeah. Amplify Accessible Travel Specialists.
Beautiful. Now I just want to get straight into it. What inspired you to start a disability travel company?
Oh, there's so many reasons, but from a heartfelt story, I've always grown up with people living with disabilities. So the biggest example would be my cousin Sandy. So I asked you the other day about the para-athlete world and everything. So My cousin Sandy, he was a para-athlete. He was the captain of the Australian basketball team, wheelchair basketball team.
Yep.
They went on to win gold in the Olympics in 1996, and he was actually a really strong figure, not only on the court but off the court as well. So he worked with the Victorian government to make workplaces more accessible for people to go back to work and everything.
Yep.
So growing up with Sandy, I guess I had a lot of experience with people with disabilities.
Exposed to it pretty early.
Very exposed to it, and I never saw the chair. I really only saw the person. But in 2005, didn't see it coming, but he took his life.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and, you look at this person who's so strong and positive and, he's broadcasting sports on TV and is such a giant in the industry. You never see the mental health picture and what's going on. And, when he died, it shook the whole family.
Yeah, wow.
So for me, I guess I've always been in travel. I've always loved travel, but my knowledge of travel and what it does from a mental health perspective for people, whether they're able-bodied or not, is actually considerable. And I thought, when I saw a gap in the market and I saw a lot of other friends like Perry and, another friend, Daniel, who are living with life in the chair, I was like, somebody needs to do something. So I built a business plan one night, put it forward and decided, this is a great opportunity to focus on travel for people living with disabilities whilst also continuing Sandy's legacy as well.
Yeah, so you just bit the bullet and did it. I mean, I guess mental health doesn't discriminate, does it? So
it doesn't.
But as you said, traveling is a massive mental thing as well. That it can really give people a release. It can give them so much, endorphins and a positive experience as well. So
it really does. And you've given 4 weeks annual leave a year if you work in business, right? Because everybody knows that you need to have that mental health break away from your norm, away from your day-to-day life. And what it does in the planning and the execution and then having the experience and then even your mental health afterwards. I mean, you've just come back from holidays. You might still be on a bit of a high from your experience as well. It's that continuation of joy and excitement and And that feeling of confidence that you did it, you achieved it, and you had such a great experience, and now you want to start planning the next one. It's such a mental health piece that so many people forget. They think, oh, it's just a holiday.
Yeah.
It's not just a holiday.
Especially for people living with disability where day to day everything's harder, then travelling is also harder. So to have someone help guide them is a pretty necessary thing. But have you done a lot of travel yourself personally, and that's sort of what sparked that passion as well?
Personally, yeah, I've travelled a lot. So I've been to about 41, maybe 42 countries so far. So, you know, the goal is to hit 80 in the next 5 years, but let's see if we can do that.
Yeah.
But I've not just travelled on my own. So I've travelled with people living with disabilities as well,
Right.
that being physical disabilities and also hidden disabilities.
Yeah, okay. And other than your cousin, what do you have other experience with disability within your life?
Within my life, I mean, immediately right now, my staff member is quadriplegic. So,
Right.
you know, I work with him day in and day out. We travel together as well, which is really good. And we also go out in community and hang out quite a lot. And yeah, from me personally, I live with a hidden disability. So I experienced a pretty horrific car accident when I was 10 years old. And since that moment, I've been living with chronic nerve damage.
Yeah, right.
So chronic pain and that it's not just the pain you live with, it's also, you know, things like bladder control and bowel control and things like that sometimes you need to go, hang on a sec, you know, I need to focus on my body right now and my muscles and everything to make sure that there's no accidents that happen.
Yeah, and those invisible disabilities often, do just get passed off as, oh, they're not as bad. But I mean, every disability has its own negatives and its own things you've got to deal with. So
It does.
there's not one thing that's better or worse than another. So
Oh, exactly. And I've got kids with hidden disabilities. It turns out I do too. Didn't realise.
Yeah, right.
Apparently, if your kid's diagnosed ASD, ASD, Tourette's, and ADHD, it's genetic. So they looked at my ex-husband and I, and they're like, "Which one of you or what?"
It comes from somewhere.
Yeah, I think the finger was pointed at me.
Yeah.
Especially the Tourette's.
Yeah. The accessibility side of travel.
Mm-hmm.
How does the term accessibility differ from, say, country to country or culture to culture? Is it a very different interpretation over there of what meets accessibility in certain countries than others?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, you take America. America's probably, you know, the higher standard when it comes to disability, and they've got the ADA, which really enforces the rules and requirements about how buildings are built, how people behave, how staff treat guests and things like that.
Yep.
Australia is definitely catching up really, really quickly. And there's other countries that never had that. So they were on, you know, you've got America up at scale 10, you've got other countries down here. So we're finding Sri Lanka is actually catching up to
Right.
the Americas. We're finding Thailand is catching up to the Americas. So you're starting to see these countries and cultures that are recognizing it so much more. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
look at Qatar. Qatar Airways is
Yeah.
the first airline in the world to recognize hidden disabilities.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
You know, so we're starting to see the world take a massive shift. And okay, a lot of places haven't done it right, and everybody still talks about it. But the future is so bright.
Yeah, they're making the right moves going forward. But I was going to ask if there are any surprise locations that do meet good accessibility. So Sri Lanka's
Oh,
one.
Sri Lanka is
Yeah.
next level.
Is that the streets and everything as well, or just?
Everything. So the hotel designs, I mean, you can't fix the old hotels.
Yep.
Right? So you get places like Rio, we experienced with Perry, your friend.
Yep.
You know, there's certain builds that you just can't make accessible, and so you've just got to make do and you find ways to make it happen. Sri Lanka is having a big shift with the buildings that are getting built, the roads that are done, the way that Sri Lanka tourism is working with all tourism providers and how to become more accessible.
Right.
But we're finding a huge shift. So last year was all about Japan and everybody wanted to go to Japan. This year it's all about Sri Lanka.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Might have to look into Sri Lanka. Yeah, I would never would have picked that at all to be accessible.
Right?
But yeah. Okay. So that did. I mean, I don't find around Brisbane and like where I'm from down in Albury, just simple things like the new buildings and all that might be good and accessible, which is great. But just the footpaths that might have tree roots running under them and just like bumpy and things like that. Brisbane's shocking, some of the footpaths and stuff around there. So
I know. I've seen a few people
yeah.
fall out of chairs. And even down to like, you look at, you know, the little yellow spots they put down for people who are short of sight
Yep.
so that they can use their cane to be able to establish where they're going. People in wheelchairs and people using prams fall out.
Yeah, they're very
going over
bumpy.
those spots. So there's a disconnect in Brisbane with the new system that they're using to go, hang on a sec, this is great for people who are short of vision, but people who are using chairs or prams or any sort of mobility device will actually fall out over these bumps because they're too high.
Yeah, need to find something that works for both in the
Yeah.
medium. Yeah. What's a common misconception about travel with disability that you come across or that I know people might mention to you?
I think the biggest one is just it's not possible.
Yeah.
You know, so many people, we've had so many, you know, people have been living with their disability for 10, 20 years and never left home or never left mum's side or too afraid of the what if. You know, nobody's going to understand. This is what I hear. This is what I see. But it's about, you know, going, you know what? It is possible. But keep in mind there's a chance that something might not always go right.
Yeah.
Something might go wrong. But how are you going to adapt and pivot and change? And the other really big misconception is when something does go wrong, people turn to us and they're like, oh, it's because I'm disabled. And I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
don't discriminate against able-bodied.
Yeah.
Bad things happen to able-bodied too. Like sometimes a flight is delayed.
Yeah.
Sometimes access might not be perfect, but it might not be perfect for somebody who's able-bodied as well. Like there's always going to be something that might come up, you know, taxis never turning up or something, but it happens to everybody and it's about going, okay, we've got a plan A. Plan A hasn't happened. What's B? What's C? What's D? Just being prepared for it and being able to pivot and adapt and change without mentally having that thought of, you know, it's the disability word, it's the D word, you know, not, it's just changing the mindset and being more open and excited for travel, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, like you said, just a mindset of, you know, someone on maybe their first trip might be a bit more apprehensive, and that, or someone that's done a couple might just be, you know, this shit happens sometimes on a trip, and yeah, like you said, be able to adapt on the fly. But
Exactly.
what if someone comes to you and says, oh, I want to go to, I don't know, this random country that you might not know much about the accessibility there? How do you go about finding out or figuring out if it's going to work for the person with disability or not?
So much research.
Just, Googling and Google Maps and research and phone calls.
Well, I mean, first, I guess with Amplify, where we're very different to a lot of STA providers and a lot of other accessible providers in the country is we're a travel agent. Yeah. And being a travel agent, we're actually accredited with the Australian Tourism Industry Association, which is a very rigorous process. But the beauty of that is we're connected with all other travel agents in the country. So if I don't know, I'll go into the portal and reach out to somebody else and say, hey guys, have you had experience in this country? We can also reach out to the tourism boards. So we can reach out to like Sri Lanka Tourism or Bali Tourism and have a chat to them and see what the accessibility looks like there. But the access to information nowadays is huge, you know, and we thankfully have the right channels through the Australian Tourism Association to be able to connect with them. And that's where we're lucky. But otherwise, we're trained to know what to look for.
Yeah, that's. Have you ever been called out a little bit where you might say, go to a country and they might say, yeah, this is accessible for a wheelchair, it's fine, and then either before when they get there or even before that you've figured out that it's not the case? Because I mean, I've even had that in Australia.
Always.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Always. So, you know, we had a client go to a new city that we haven't been to in God, what country? I can't even remember what country it was. Somewhere in Asia.
Yeah.
And anyway, we're like, no, we'll make it happen. The hotel, it sent us pictures of the room and we're like, awesome, the room looks great. But what does the entry to the foyer look like? What does the entry to the pool look like? What is this? So we actually get a lot of the hotels to put us on FaceTime.
Yeah, right.
And we go through with them on FaceTime to make sure, okay, the entry doors to the hotel this wide, there might be stairs, but there's a ramp on this side of the building.
Yep.
So we'll need to explain to people where it is. But there have been times where everything's been laid out, all the information's given, but they haven't told us the width measurements of the door frame.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
You know, so there's so much information we need to make sure we're gathering to make sure it's 100% possible. If things don't work out and the hotel hasn't delivered, like we had a hotel recently in Australia.
Yeah, right.
We looked at all the pictures, we spoke to the staff, they explained the accessibility, which was great. The client turned up to the hotel. What they hadn't told us is they had recently refurbished those rooms, and instead of the beds having the big gap underneath them for the hoist, they had flush wooden boards under the bed. And I'm like, no, guys, this is what you told me you had. You've sold us this. This is something we can actually take to the ACCC because you've made this illusion of accessibility.
Yeah, it's things that people don't think about, but they...
Exactly.
And the language is getting a little bit better. I remember one time it was early on, and I think I was back home in Albury like within 12 months of my injury, and was going out to a pub with a group for a meal, and I rang ahead and said, "Oh, just making sure the pub is accessible." They're like, "Yeah, there's just one step at the front. It's fine." And I was like, "Yeah, mate, one step is one step too many." Like, what do you mean?
That's a bit of a fail.
Yeah, so things like that where
They're like, don't worry, someone could lift you. It's like, well, do you know how heavy
yeah,
this chair
thing is not
is?
easy. So I mean, I try not to get too mad about it because before
Yeah.
my injury, I would have had no idea either.
Yeah.
But I think the education is getting a lot better these days, and
Yeah.
like I said, all the accessibility of all new builds and new paths and things are all getting better. So hopefully, it continues in that way.
I mean, look, Dylan Alcott's doing a lot around that.
Yep.
So Dylan Alcott's actually going into all the hotels and all the theme parks and doing some pretty intensive training. And we also do the same. So we consult to industry too. So when the hotels, theme parks, transportation like Hoppo, we go and do assessments with them and we provide advice. And one of my favourite things to do is to get the owner or the general manager in a wheelchair themselves to scoot around and go, okay, well, I think it's accessible. But then when they're in the chair, they realise the thickness of the carpet is actually really hard to push on, or the door frames are hard, or how to open the pull that, while sitting in the chair and trying to reach over and tap the card at the same time, it's just not possible. So it's opening their eyes by action and experience.
And it's hard to find a one size fits all for disability, obviously, to get something that suits everything, because even people in a manual chair have different experiences to people in a power chair. So
100%.
certain things, like when I was on the cruise then getting off in Airlie Beach, and there was some people we made friends with. One guy was in a manual chair, and getting off there was a ramp down to the ferry, and he was able to get off, just had someone help him go down backwards and it was fine. But me in a power chair had no chance of doing it. So even though they said, oh, it's accessible, we've had people in chairs go down before, doesn't mean that everyone can. So it is hard to find that one size fits all. But I mean, the more people they consult, I guess, the more things they can consider, the better it is.
It's so true. It's funny. You go to places like Fiji and you're in that situation. You find a lot of the Fijians are like, "Don't worry, mate, we'll carry you."
Yeah, exactly.
There's a will do, but obviously we say to a lot of people, if you're okay to be carried, we'll let them know. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you've got skin integrity issues, then don't.
Yeah.
But it's so funny how different countries, going back to that, I guess there's a make-do situation in some countries and other countries not so much.
Yeah, exactly right. Can you share a travel experience of a client that you helped travel that has really moved you or really struck home, that was really satisfying to help with?
I will. I don't get emotional very much, but this one really gets to me. So hopefully I could do it without getting emotional.
Yeah.
We do quite a bit of work with motor neuron disease.
Yep.
So as you know, motor neuron disease, there is a lifespan for that one, unfortunately.
Yep.
Anyway, we had this amazing wife reach out to us. Her husband was quite young when he was diagnosed, so in his 30s. They have a young child who's 14. No, he must be late 30s to have a 14-year-old, but anyway.
Yeah.
Either way, they're quite young. And she's saying, listen, we want to just have one last really good family experience. Now, my husband, he used to be a motocross downhill mountain bike rider, loves soccer, so we want to go and experience as much as we can in Europe. Okay, so what we found is Red Bull do the downhill mountain bike riding, we got him VIP tickets in the corporate suite, made sure it was accessible, and he had the best time going to that event. We organised a personalised tour in all the major soccer stadiums. So you've got like Paris and Barcelona and Real Madrid. I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a big soccer guy. So
okay, there you go. Yeah. So we had all this organised, which was really exciting for their travel. But I said to the wife, I said, listen, this is very sports oriented towards your husband and your son, but what about you? And she said, no, I just need them to have a great experience. I need to make sure my son remembers his dad.
Yeah, right.
Try not to get emotional here.
Yeah.
Which I understood, and I said, I get that, but you're in the picture too. I said, do you trust me?
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she's like, oh, okay, sure, why not? I trust you. So with her and I, we kept it a secret from her husband and son. I organised for someone to meet them under the Eiffel Tower. So we organised a photographer who was going to take special family photos. But I also organised a celebrant.
Oh, really?
To renew their wedding vow.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And she started crying, and of course I started crying, and it was all. And she said to me, "We always wanted to renew our vows, but when he was diagnosed, we just thought it wasn't possible and just let it go. And she goes, you are going to make this dream of ours actually possible
it's amazing.
in the city of love.
That is amazing that, like you said, something with M&D where it is degenerative and you do have that lifespan to be able to help a family create that memory. That is, amazing. One that'll stick with you for a while, I think, for the rest of your life. But
and it's just, I don't know, like we, as travel agents, we know what's possible in different countries and we know different experiences. And I don't know, for her, I had to offer it to her to see if she'd take it. And they had the best experience. And now these most beautiful photos, for her son to remember forever, and her too.
Yeah, no, that is an amazing experience that, like I said, being able to, being in a wheelchair and with M&D and just all those struggles to everything else going on in their life to worry about trying to organise trips and stuff. It's, to have a company dedicated to the accessible side of it, I imagine would have taken a lot off their mind and given them a lot of peace of mind. So no, it's a very necessary thing, as I've said a few times. But just to bring the mood down a little bit from there, what about on the flip side? What about maybe like a really tough experience that you've had with helping someone on a holiday, whether it's something went wrong or
Probably, oh gosh, there's been a lot of tough moments, flight delays and then having to organise special seating and, eagle hoists and aisle chairs at different airplanes at the last minute and things like that. That's always tough. Probably one of the harder ones was Rio. I mentioned it before.
Yep.
There's obviously a time difference between Australia and Rio, and there's also a very, very strong language barrier,
right?
And understanding barrier. So with that one in particular, organising, Carnivale, that part was easy, getting the accessibility, but it was the accommodation requirements that were specific to this individual. That, ideally what would have been available was a 2-bedroom apartment or a hotel room interconnecting to another hotel room, but that didn't exist at all. They do not have interconnecting rooms in Rio.
Yeah, okay.
So we had to solutionify with the traveller, with the care staff and everything, and also with the hotel. And it got to a point where I pushed and pushed and pushed, and we organised a phone call with the general manager. I was like, I am not talking to reservations. I am not talking to sales. I don't want to see your supervisor. Get me the boss.
Yeah.
So we organised calls with the general manager. I organised and paid a translator in Australia to be on the phone with me at 11 o'clock at night.
Right, yeah.
To make sure that we did not miss a thing. We had a video call. We made sure we went through, looked at the rooms, looked at the availability, looked at the accessibility. She's translating whilst I'm also trying to tell her what to say. She's trying to tell me what he said. We're all trying to figure it out together.
A lot going on, yep.
It was intense. And I got to a point where I'm like, this is never going to happen. And at the end of the day, not only did it happen, but the hotel went above and beyond for this person, organised a special welcome banner or congratulations banner, because Rio Carnivale, it's all about the banners and the pretty and the colours, and it actually worked out to be a really amazing experience. And the traveller doesn't know how much we went to. If they listen to this, they will now. Yeah. But that was probably the hardest, was just we have to knock on doors and smash doors down if we have to, just to make it possible. But a lot of travellers never know what we have to go to do that. I mean, let's look at your experience, if that's okay.
Yeah, yep.
So we organised the mattress to go into the room and everything, but for some people, we have to organise the high-low beds, the hospital beds.
Yeah, right.
Which a lot of people are like, just put a hospital bed in. But what happens to the bed that's in the room?
Yeah, yep.
So we negotiate with hotels to completely remove a lot of the hotel furniture to put our furniture in. That takes time, negotiation and effort that a lot of people don't realise. So, look, there's so many different things for
challenges
different
and things
people.
that pop up. Yeah, I mean, I could imagine it kind of sums up disability travel, isn't it? That you do have to do a lot more research and there are a lot of challenges, but it is doable when you get it right. That it is, you can still have a good experience. But,
and that's more talking about physical disabilities.
Yeah,
if we go back to the hidden disabilities, we work with a lot of people from a psychosocial perspective. Right. So sometimes we have to call hotels and know we're leaving the furniture. We have to remove anything that could be a weapon.
Right, okay.
We're removing cutlery, glassware, proper plates that could be smashed and used as a weapon.
Yep.
So we've got to fully prepare the hotel staff whilst also ensuring we've got the approval of the client to make sure the staff don't discriminate against them from a psychosocial perspective.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Because I was going to ask, what are some of the more complex disabilities you've worked with? Would that be up there?
That would be up there. Psychosocial is difficult. One thing we do have to say to a lot of support coordinators or family and friends that are booking it on people's behalf, or even the person coming to us direct, I hate asking the question, but we do have to say, is there any risks that we need to know about?
Yep.
You know, we've had an example where we had somebody, we were told the person was psychosocial, but they're fine. They just need some time out. You know, the carer will be them for a little while, but then they'll go into the venue and stay there and they'll be right. So this one in particular went into an NDIS approved group home.
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 other participants and, you know, they got the key to their room. They could lock their room and secure themselves and it was fine. We weren't told of the risks.
Right.
Right? And we were told they'll be fine without the carer. So we left it. What proceeded was that person had a trigger. And I don't know what the trigger was that set them off, but it set them off, causing a lot of disarray and disrupt in this group home.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately led to that person running out of the home, running down the street and breaking into a neighbour's house and harassing the neighbours.
Oh,
so
geez.
Police got involved, a lot of people got called, and it was a really unfortunate situation that could have been solved by us being told that they were bipolar and that they could have a trigger. So then we could have told the person that was running the group home how best to manage that situation,
right, yeah.
or could have had the carer stay longer.
Have plans in place.
To have plans in place.
Yep.
So working with people with psychosocial disabilities, on most occasions it's fine, but we just need to know triggers or any potential risks to make sure everybody around knows what to do.
So that other one you spoke about earlier about the person that you had to remove all cutlery and plates and all that. So the hotels are still happy to take someone on like that, even with risks and things. They don't get, because I mean, if, for example, there's a buffet in the lobby, they could still go down there and get a knife or something. Like,
yeah, pretty much they could.
They could if they wanted to. Yeah, right.
If they wanted to.
Yeah, so it's still.
Look, there's
acceptable.
still a lot of risks associated, but as long as the hotel are aware and watching, then it's okay. So some hotels, I'm giving away tourism information here. Some hotels, what they do is they have client profiles out the back. So let's say you've got a VVIP checking into the hotel. Out the back, there's a picture and a description of the person and what questions to ask to make them feel special, what to do. Sometimes when we advise them that somebody with a disability is coming into the property, they'll create this profile so all the staff know what to look for. So if somebody's got a tendency to run, they know if they see that person running off site or running off the property, they need to go and stop them to make sure they go back to their carer and they're safe. You know, if they see somebody climbing stairs that have a vertigo issue and could potentially jump, they make sure that they get that person back downstairs.
Right.
In the restaurant with the cutlery, the staff just look for them.
Just make sure to keep an eye out. Yeah, right. That's something that, again, I wouldn't have thought of or wouldn't have known was a thing. Could have been with someone in a holiday sometime that was that case. So
at least they're aware of it though. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If they're aware, then they can, like I said, be prepared to an extent. And
exactly.
Yeah, you wonder how much training the sort of people have though at hotels where you might say, oh, look out, if this person runs, you've got to chase them. But if they see it, they might go, no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's my job.
Yeah, right. Making sure they're...
That's part of my job as the accessible travel specialist, is to make sure the hotel is aware and trained. Most hotels now, especially in Europe or in the UK, there's something called the Sunflower Project, which is the Sunflower Hidden Disabilities. So if you see people with a wristband that's got sunflowers on it or a badge or something, that is the Hidden Disabilities worldwide logo. You've got the blue outline of the wheelchair, right?
Yep.
That's the physical disabilities internationally recognised.
Yep.
The sunflower is internationally recognised for hidden.
Right, okay.
So when you go to the airport, you'll notice that you've got the wheelchair image for people to get the fast track access as a wheelchair user, but the sunflower image is there too.
Oh, okay, I'll have to keep an eye out for that now.
So you didn't even see it.
Didn't even see it, no.
So you're living with a disability and you didn't even see that.
I didn't even see that. I just look for the little wheelchair man. That's it. I go for that. That's all I'm worried about. Get me through faster in front of these other people.
Well, I'm so glad we're talking about this on this platform then, and hopefully people listen. But the sunflower is the Hidden Disabilities logo. Right. Okay, so basically a lot of the hotels, if they see somebody coming in with the wristband or the lanyard or the badge, they can go, okay, I can see that person has some form of disability. If I recognise something that's not of the norm, I know to go and nurture and care and support, as opposed to turning around going, that guy must be on drugs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Because a lot of the times they might think, oh, that person's had ice, or that, we deal with people with traumatic brain injuries, so they might say, oh, that person's drunk.
Yeah,
No,
right.
they've never had a drink of alcohol in their lives, but their brain injury makes them slur and
Yeah,
walk
of
funny.
course.
So it's our job to prepare the hotels, the airlines, the attractions, everything to make sure they're ready for that one person.
Yeah, that makes sense because physical disabilities, obviously it's pretty obvious. Like it's in your face, this person's got a disability, and that's physical, I guess, in some ways is almost easier to work around for travel. These are the things you need. It's a checklist, and as long as you've got those things in place, you're pretty okay. But like you said, if things can trigger and change at the drop of a coin, then that makes things a bit more interesting.
Oh, definitely.
Are there any disabilities that you won't work with or that you haven't worked with yet that you want to?
There is one disability that we haven't yet, and that's Tourette's.
Right.
So we work with low-level Tourette's, but then you've got your high-level physical Tourette's. We would love to work in that area, but it's just getting the confidence from that participant living with Tourette's. So obviously from an airline perspective, there would be so many measures that need to be in place, because the way physical Tourette's works is they can't control a lot of their tics and movements. So sometimes it might be sudden punches or pushes or kicks or hits.
Yep.
Taps on the head, or like even us sitting here, I could be sitting here tapping you like this, and that's me controlling, not controlling my tic.
Yep.
Some can be a lot more physical.
Yeah.
So if you're on an airplane, we could have a problem, or their tics might tell them, go open the airplane door.
Yeah, okay.
Or we've got racial tics where they might see somebody of colour and start slurring or saying, the wrong words that you really shouldn't say, that they can't control. So people do have that fear. Some people do overcome it, and sometimes there's other ways to get around it. But so far we haven't worked with the high level Tourette's just yet.
There you go. Anyone with Tourette's that's watching wants to be the first?
Yeah.
Go book a holiday.
Let's do it.
We touched on a little bit earlier about some innovation coming in the travel industry over the next few years. What are some coming? Like I've seen, I think it was just at different seminars and things about being able to stay in your chair on a flight and things like that. But what are some cool innovation coming that over the next few years that you?
I mean, that's the one we're all excited for.
Yeah, that's the best one. Yeah.
I mean, trains can do it.
Yeah.
Taxis can do it. Why can't airplanes? I don't know if have you been to London?
I have not, but I've heard every taxi is wheelchair
Every
accessible.
black cab in London is wheelchair accessible. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The trains, especially where the sleepers are and everything, you can actually go on the train and you can have your chair attached to a section on the train to stay in it, whereas airplanes aren't quite there yet, but they are working. So Delta has come out saying that they want to do it first. I think a few of the other airlines went, hang on, we want to beat you.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a bit of a battle of the planes
Healthy
at the moment.
competition, that's good.
Yeah. So that's definitely probably the one that we're most excited about. There's some big news coming for Airlie Beach in Queensland.
Oh, is that okay?
Yep. So I can't
Not
talk
allowed
about
to say
that
it?
yet.
Okay.
But that is a very exciting project I'm working on with Airlie Beach at the moment.
Right.
So watch this space.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, and then you've got a lot of attractions that are really adapting. More so, the hidden disabilities is huge in Australia, but yeah, from rides perspectives and things, there's stuff coming.
So, okay, and that's the biggest one. Because, being able to stay in your chair on a flight would be a massive help to me because, one of the reasons that it's essentially at the moment I'm hesitant of flying and going anywhere is I've had so many skin integrity issues. So having to transfer into their shitty little aisle chair where my knees are up around my head because they're for everyone, and then having to transfer into an airplane seat and things like that. That it's sort of just at the moment, essentially just I'm like, oh, it's not worth it yet. So hopefully that would be a massive one that would be awesome to be able to stay in your chair, whether that has to be a big power chair like mine or whether you have to be in a manual chair. Who knows where they start,
no, a
where
big
they
power
go.
chair like yours is definitely something they're looking at.
Okay,
So,
beautiful.
yeah, and it makes it easier as well. A lot of people get confused about why their chairs don't fit on airplanes when the planes say, no, sorry, your chair doesn't meet the measurement requirements, is because of, if you think about the way a plane is, it's a cylinder, right? So half of it is where the seats are and where people are actually placed on the plane. The other half is where the bags and chairs go. So if you've got a small set plane, there's going to be a smaller door and a lower roof between where the bag floor is and where the bag roof is. So a chair your size, if you can fit 3 size suitcases lined up, your chair from here will not fit.
Yeah, okay.
But with the bigger planes, like the 737s, the door is a lot bigger. They can fit more bags up higher.
Yep.
They'll be able to fit your chair. And then you got to trust sitting in the chair and not having skin integrity issues on the plane. But we can talk about that.
Yeah, no, I think...
It is possible.
It is possible. I know I need to pick people's brains. I've said a little bit more open to it now, but...
Talk to my team. Brett flies all the time.
Yeah, I know. I do need to do it a bit more. I know. I've been talking about doing it now that like cruise was a bit of a test, and then maybe next year looking at going somewhere with just a short flight maybe first to somewhere just like New Zealand or something, and as a bit of a test. So
it's only 3 hours away.
Exactly. That's why I thought it'd be a good tester to do. So
you can do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you do this one now.
All right, no worries.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Have you had many experiences where people in wheelchairs travel and their chairs have been damaged because I've heard that's bad. Is that getting better?
Look, it is getting better, but it is what it is. It's one of those things. I think if we go back to the airplane philosophy we talked about before, what happens is when the airplanes get loaded, all the baggage gets piled very neatly in the undercarriage of the plane. So picture the 3 or 4 suitcases on top of each other. In amongst it, you've got a wheelchair. What if you hit turbulence?
Yeah.
That luggage and everything is going to move with the wheelchair, and that's where damage does happen. So it's not actually the handlers that damage it.
Okay.
It's the other luggage that's under the plane that will damage it. On occasion, it might be the handlers that do it, but it's not always the case. So really, when people are traveling with their wheelchairs, our biggest advice, where possible, is remove attachments that you possibly can that you're worried about being damaged, and even bubble wrap, or you can get specialised bags for your wheelchairs built, and that's what the OTs can do.
Yep.
The other advice we give to a lot of travellers, which has been really successful, is go back to your wheelchair provider and say, hey, I'm going to England. Who in England would you recommend I call if my chair gets damaged?
Right, okay.
So as soon as you land, if you realise your chair's damaged, you know you have a phone number immediately.
Yep.
They can fix your chair straight away,
Yeah.
as opposed to being there and going, oh my God, what do I do?
Because that's another one of the apprehensions I would have about travelling, is just how many horrible stories I've heard about people's chairs being damaged. So
you hear a lot of stories, but it would be maybe the 1 or 2%.
Right, okay.
98% don't get damaged.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good news.
I've only had 1 in 6 years.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not number 2.
Yeah. You with me, you'll be fine.
Yeah, okay, good. Someone like me that needs to take a support worker away with me, do airlines or hotels or anyone have sort of subsidies for that, or do I just have to cop the cost and pay for them?
Used to have to cop the cost.
Yep.
Some airlines are really good. So now internationally, Qantas will actually give a discount for your carer to travel and you to travel as well.
Oh, cool.
But you have to have the Qantas companion card, not the Australian government companion card. That is the biggest confusion most people have.
Right, okay.
Is they're like, oh, I get the discount because I've got this card. And it's like, no.
So
has to be Qantas.
Their own companion card?
Qantas have their own companion card. You've got to see your GP, fill in all the paperwork.
Yep.
And then you get it, but the discounts are worth the effort.
Okay.
Definitely worth the effort. Hotels, if your carer needs their own room, no. Because, I mean, think about it. If a hotel's got 100 rooms to sell, they need to sell those rooms for their owners. But if one is going for free for a carer, that owner's going to say, well, hang on, why am I not getting money?
Yep.
Or something. So, yeah, hotels, unfortunately, no. But, you know, if you're sharing a room, obviously there's no extra cost for a carer.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is majority of the wheelchair accessible rooms in hotels, cruise ships and everything is the starting point. They do not charge more for an accessible room.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good, at least, that they don't, because obviously you need a bit more to it. It's probably not quite as simple as a standard room, but that's good that they at least, don't charge extra for something that you don't have a choice of.
Exactly
that you need anyway.
And they are getting better at not putting the rooms next to the garbage chute or next to, facing the road or the garbage. They're getting better at having them on different floors and a lot nicer. So
that's good. Yeah, I mean, I've had some interesting experiences with different things, even accommodation up here. When I first moved up here, stayed at the Commonwealth Games Village out there.
Oh, yeah.
And even the that was right near the garbage, where the garbage got emptied. Oh. But also, like, it was all carpeted for an accessible room and things, and that was built in Commonwealth Games of 2016.
Yeah, that
really
wasn't
not that old.
Why would they do carpet?
Yeah, there's a few things still where Australia, you'd expect them to be a lot better than what they are sometimes. So hopefully
Yeah.
they're consulting more people and doing better. But
Well, and consulting the right people
exactly right.
as
Yeah,
well.
that's
You
the
know,
thing.
and it even comes down to how many hotels accept service dogs and seeing eye dogs. It's actually against the law in Queensland to refuse a service dog.
Yeah, I've used that my dogs were companion dogs to get into a couple. So
You
that
need to
works.
provide the paperwork
Yeah.
now, but keep trying.
Yeah. Any hotel owners listening, ignore that, please. If you were going to recommend me to visit any location, what would it be?
Oh, right now I'm going to say Queenstown.
Queenstown. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that is the one that I've got on my list.
Is that what you're
that's
thinking?
what I was thinking.
I was
so.
just there. It's only a 3.5-hour flight. It is
Yeah.
so easy. And okay, footpaths, you might find some issues.
Yep.
Like it's more just the gradient of coming off the path onto the road that
Right.
I questioned a few times in some places.
Yeah.
But otherwise, definitely try Queenstown. I think it's amazing, and they take accessibility seriously. Even
Right.
at AJ Hackett, I'll show you a picture, or I'm not sure if you can put it on the podcast,
Yeah.
but they've got a picture of the bungee jumping, and they've got an upside down wheelchair
Oh,
in the
actually, I've seen
universal
people do it
wheelchair.
there. Yeah, yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, but I mean, go and do Sri Lanka if you're going to push
Sri
your
Lanka.
limits.
How far is that for a flight?
Oh,
Sri
it's like
Lanka.
9 hours. It's not
Yeah,
far.
okay. Maybe Queenstown first and Sri Lanka after that.
All right, done.
What advice do you have for someone with a disability that might be considering travel but might be a bit apprehensive?
I think my biggest advice is just be open for fun. Be open to adventure, and, stop putting those limiting beliefs ahead of your life and your future memories and your future experiences. I think the limiting beliefs is what causes more people pain than excitement.
Yeah.
So it's changing your mindset and being open to it and just going, okay, I might have to adapt and pivot whilst doing it, but God, I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least start a conversation if you're thinking about it, and then it might help settle some nerves you have as well. And
Exactly. And I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
People all over the world prove that it's possible living with disabilities. You look at their podcasts, look at their socials, look at what they're doing. Just simply Google person traveling with quadriplegia, and you'll get 1 million people that are sharing their experiences and showing it's possible. So it's a matter of just opening your eyes. And then, if you are nervous, you contact someone like me and you talk to me, and we'll explain how it's possible, what we'll need to do, and what could really change their lives.
Might put a few of those worries at ease, just having a conversation with someone that's been there and done it, or reach out to someone that has travelled as well. I know, talking to Pez and different people for me was helpful that have done a lot of it. So if you do have that opportunity to reach out to someone that's done some travel, I think that would be good advice too.
Well, Pez is the perfect one. Didn't he teach Superman how to fly again?
Yeah, probably,
Pez,
yeah. Yeah, no, he's not bad, old Pez, is he?
He went over, met with Christopher Reeve, and even Christopher Reeve said, "How did you get to America?"
Yeah.
And Perry's like, "I flew."
Yeah.
But Christopher had never been on a plane since his accident, so Perry taught him how to get on a plane again.
Yeah, right. I know. I chatted to Pez on the podcast a while ago and chatted about some of the things that have gone wrong for him on holidays, and his ventilator stopping and them needing to keep him alive essentially with the squeeze bag and things like that. So things happen, but he's still going, he's still kicking, and still travelling. So
because he doesn't give up.
Exactly right.
Adapts.
Where can people find you if they want to get in touch and book a holiday?
Yeah, so probably the best thing is the website. So all the w's.amplifyats.com.au. So ATS stands for Accessible Travel Specialist. It was just going to be a really long website if we spelled it out. So amplifyats.com.au, or pop us a call or email info@amplifyats.com.au. All our stuff's on social media, websites, or we're even listed on australia.com. So you'll find us. We are recognised as the #1 accessible agency with australia.com. So
Awesome.
That's pretty nice.
Beautiful. No, thank you for coming on and sharing your experiences. I just said that it should help some people that are a bit apprehensive, or even people think about doing more travel and things, that it is all possible. So Thank you for coming on and sharing your experience.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
It's been great.
Thank you very much to Michelle for coming on and sharing all of her experiences. It was really interesting to hear about some of the different disabilities and different things that you have to look for that even I wouldn't have thought about. Obviously, as someone with a physical disability, some of the invisible disabilities, as she referred to them, that some of the things you need to consider for them, that was very interesting to hear about. But then also some of the innovation coming is very exciting. So very much looking forward to that. If it can help me travel, that would be fantastic. But I was also very interested to hear that Sri Lanka was up there in some of the most accessible places. So I guess that's why you engage with someone like that. If you are someone with a disability that and apprehensive about doing any travel, that it is possible. So I think that's a great lesson to take from that episode. If this episode or any of my episodes do bring up any adverse feelings for yourself, please contact Lifeline for support on 13 11 14. You can also send them a text message on 0477 13 11 14 or go to lifeline.org.au and navigate towards the live chat. Remember to reach out and check in on each other and that it ain't weak to speak. Also, don't forget to go check out the Instagram page at chatsfromachair_podcast or the Facebook page at Chats from a Chair podcast, and let me know who you think I should have on and have a chat with, and also check out all of my past guests where you can catch up on episodes you might have missed. But that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this chat as much as I did. Cheers.